Hey wine lovers, greetings from Santorini. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to gather around, and then I'm ready to take a little bit of time just to explain some things about this magical island and its fantastic terroir. For the time being, have a look around. See behind me. Are we there yet? So this is Santorini. This is where the magic happens, literally. And I want to explain a little about what you've heard before. I'm sure that you've read and you heard many things about how magical this terroir is. And just to let you know, it's all true, and then some. This island was wasn't always like this. About 3,500 years ago, it was a typical island in the Aegean Sea. Let's say it was round. It was very, very different, and then a volcanic eruption, which according to historians was the second most powerful in the history of mankind, devastated it and tore it to pieces, and gave it almost its current shape and form. Now imagine that back then the lava and the ashes that were produced from the eruption, check this out, check the wind out, this is typical of Santorini all year round. Now the lava and the ashes that were produced from the eruption formed about 60 meters extra on the surface of the land of the island, and this is it. This is where the vines grow ever since then. And imagine that the tsunami that was produced, I can't remember, I think it was like 35 meters high or something, reached Crete, so the very southernmost part of the Aegean, in less than an hour. And they say that volcanic rocks like this from the eruption can still be found on the delta of the river Nile in Egypt. So you can imagine the power, you can imagine the devastation, and try to imagine the energy that lies right underneath our feet here, and right in the roots of these vines. So we're talking about terroir that is 100% volcanic, extremely dry. As anyone can realize, phylloxera never had a chance here, so it was never on the island. All the vines are sitting on the original rootstock, and this is the magical terroir where the famous Assyrtiko grape grows. This is it. Ultra dry. Imagine that the vines are here. Follow me. Quite old in age, because since they have been sitting on their own or their original rootstock. Some of the vines that can be found on the island are over 100 years old. Of course, not as productive anymore. And how can they be? The roots have to dig very, very deep down to find even a hint of moisture just to stay alive, or even to grow. But as they do that, the nutrients, the minerals, everything that they find in this fantastic subsoil underneath gives Assyrtiko the magic, the power of its aromatic profile, of its taste, of its explosive acidity. This is a wine that is adored everywhere in the world. Let's see, here. It's almost ready. This year the winter has been mild, not very, I think, mid-dry or moist, depending on how you see it. I don't think it's going to be very long until the people here have to start the harvest. For those of you who haven't tasted the Assyrtiko yet, you might want to compare it to a German Riesling in terms of the minerality, in terms of the acidity, but that's more or less where the similarities end, because obviously we're talking about a warm climate grape with wines that can vary quite dramatically from Riesling in terms of the alcoholic title, because even in a warm year, German Riesling will reach, I don't know, 11.5 or maybe 12% alcohol ABV, whereas in a warm year in Santorini, Assyrtiko will even flirt with 14%. The yields here are very low, but very low. I mean, try to imagine here, with the total absence of any water whatsoever, extremely rare and very low rainfall annually. Yields are low, concentrations are high, alcohol can be pretty high as well. So we're talking about one of the most premium and most expensive grapes literally on the planet. I think second only to in price by kilo to the grapes of Champagne. This is Assyrtiko, this is Santorini, just a part of the Santorini vineyard, very close to the sea, extremely low altitude, you don't need altitude here, very, very dry, very mineral, very volcanic soil, as you can see all around. The grapes are getting ready, and I invite you to join me on Sunday evening, 6 o'clock Greece time, at one of the most picturesque spots of the island, where anyone can go for wine tasting at the winery of Santo Wines to taste some Assyrtiko together. This is what you can have as a souvenir when you go back home, to remember this amazing terroir of Santorini. Now, in the meantime, the only thing I want to tell you is, if you still have time and if you're still willing to travel this year, obviously not everyone is prepared to do so, do consider Santorini. It's a wine lover's paradise all year round, anytime, but especially this year, I can tell you that this island will be even more welcoming and even more rewarding to visiting wine lovers. See you on Sunday. Thanks very much. Yamas.